This is the reality of life less than 4 miles from the Scottish Parliament. A community centre handing out free bread to help the residents of Muirhouse make ends meet. And yet now, here and across Scotland, the tough times could be about to get worse.
Prolonged Westminster austerity, the economic damage of Brexit, a global pandemic, the war in Ukraine and the cost of living crisis have all placed enormous and growing pressure on the public finances. I must take further and more urgent action now to ensure that we can balance the Scottish budget in 2024-25. And I call Elizabeth.
There's also £800 million of additional spending for new pay offers, and all that means £500 million in direct service cuts, plus a raid on the proceeds of offshore wind and publicly owned Scottish Water.
Given the recent independent analysis, will the Cabinet Secretary finally put on the record that the large black hole in Scotland's public finances is a result of the actions of the Scottish Government and not the actions of Westminster?
This statement is a threadbare attempt to once again pass the buck. After 17 years in power, always someone else to blame, again and again.
Critics of the Scottish Government say the cuts announced here this afternoon are alarming enough. But away from this place, there are plenty of communities across Scotland which say they were already struggling even before this statement.
What did you do in school today? No, you don't know. What did you do today?
Families in Glasgow, for example, are concerned about the closure of 172 teaching posts. A big problem, says Michael, whose son needs extra support at school.
I personally believe we're in a crisis situation for all services. We are seeing waiting times in the NHS, we can't see a GP, and education is on its knees. I've seen children being sent home from school because of teacher cuts, so it's really, really worrying in times for all families, I would say.
Glasgow City Council say no one is simply sent home, but they accept it's a worrying time. Back in Edinburgh, at the community centre, they're worried too.
Between the pandemic, cost of living increase and now all the cuts that the government's making again, it's awful. It's the worst I've ever seen it in the whole 25, 30 years I've been in this business.
How hard are things for this community?
Basic human rights are not being met. People can't pay their electricity, and the winter months are coming up. People again choosing, do they put their electricity on or do they feed their kids?
Some cucumber and try a bit of cucumber.
This project gives the children of Muirhouse a chance to thrive, but many parents say they worry that cuts and crisis are becoming commonplace. James Cook, BBC News, Edinburgh.